So while Joe Biden was giving us the State of the Union address, Donald Trump hosted Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban at Mar-a-Lago. And he did not hesitate 1 second to heap on the praise for Viktor Orban. Check out this clip.
There's nobody that's better, smarter, or a better leader than Viktor Orban. He's fantastic. As you know, the Prime Minister of Hungary, and does a great job. He's a non-controversial figure because he said this is the way it's going to be, and that's the end of it, right? He's the boss. And you know, he's a great leader, fantastic leader in Europe and all over the world.
So no one is a greater leader than Viktor Orban. Really, out of all the people he could have named in this world, Viktor Orban is the greatest leader. And notice how he said this is the way it's going to be, and that's the way it's going to be. He gets things done. He's the boss. It sounds to me like that Trump is a little bit envious of Viktor Orban. And this isn't the first time that he's talked this way about dictators. Check out what he said all the way back in 2018 about Kim Jong-un. Roll the clip.
Seen Mr. Kim here at the White House?
Could happen. I mean,
they talked about that yesterday.
I think it's something that could happen. Yeah. Hey, he's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. Mm-hmm. Don't let anyone think anything different. Right. He speaks, and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
Well, again, notice how Trump sounds whenever he's talking about dictators. Yeah, don't let anyone fool you. This guy's a strong head. He's a strong leader, and when he speaks, his people sits right up at attention, and I want my people to do the same. Think about that for a minute. He's referring to a man who has enslaved so many people. He is referring to a man who has exterminated so many people. That's why when he says stuff like, yeah, I wouldn't mind to be dictator on day one. Yeah, I wouldn't mind to terminate the Constitution. That's why a big red flag goes up for a lot of us, and we go, hold on a minute, that ain't normal. Because that's what dictators do. How does he think that Kim Jong-un got his people to sit up at attention? That's what's so terrifying about that clip. This isn't hyperbole. People should have been talking about that clip a lot longer, but I think this one kind of stole the show when he talked about how that they passed back and forth love letters. Check this out.
I was really being tough, and so was he. And we would go back and forth, and then we fell in love. Okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters.
Do y'all remember back when Barack Obama was in office, and any time that he ever even slightly hinted at sitting down and negotiating anything with anyone, Republicans would always say, he's palling around with the terrorists. We can't allow that. He's palling around with the terrorists. That's a sign of weakness. And yet Donald Trump is talking about writing love letters, and they're all cool with that. Donald Trump always seems to have a problem with any of our allies. He always has a bone to pick with them. And yet he turns around and does nothing but heap praise on the enemies. And here he is saying out loud that he would tell Putin to do whatever the hell he wants. Roll this clip.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
So let's really stop and think about this one for a minute. You got a guy that talks like that about dictators. And that same guy tried to overturn an election that he knew he lost. That same guy led an insurrection on our nation's capital. And he calls those insurrectionists patriots and hostages. He plays their songs at his rallies, and that's what he stands up for. And that's what his followers stand up for. And now he's seeking a second term. He wants it back. And he wants to terminate the Constitution whenever he sees fit. He even said he would negotiate a third term. This is a guy who says he has no problem being dictator on day one. So for all the people out there that says, Brando, you're just pushing hyperbole, trying to get people all worked up, I want you to really ask yourself, when have you ever in your lifetime heard a president say to our allies, well, I'm just going to let them do whatever the hell they want. They can do whatever the hell they want to you. And when have we ever had a president that heaped that much praise upon the enemy? We are at a time in American history that we have never been before. And President Biden summed it up really good at the State of the Union, so I'm going to let him take it away. Y'all roll this clip.
Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. Wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now, my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
You know, I absolutely loved President Biden's State of the Union address, but that spot right there was so chilling to me that it stopped me dead in my tracks, and I kind of got distracted for a while because I was too busy letting that sink in. Because I remember back when I was a kid hearing Ronald Reagan say, "Tear down that wall." That's why when Donald Trump said, "Let's build a wall," that I said, what the hell's going on here? And so I came from the 80s. I grew up in that time. And I remember that that's what we used to be. And I used to say to myself, oh yeah, well that stuff's happening, but it's happening over there. And we'll go over there and we will help them save democracy over there. We will help them to restore and bring democracy to their part of the world too. We'll help spread it. It's something that will go around the world. That's what we used to think. And yet now, not only is it happening over there, like Joe Biden said, Putin's not just going to stop at Ukraine. He's going to try to take it all eventually. It's not only happening over there, it's happening right here in our backyard. And President Biden was sitting there addressing people in that room who's trying to help it happen over here. And one of them was sitting right over his damn shoulder. Let that sink in. Because I had to kind of go back and start again because that part sidetracked me so bad. And a lot of people would say, well, you know, Brando, you're just spreading hyperbole. You're getting people all worked up. No, I'm trying to wake people up to the fact that you guys are getting way too loose with the thought of letting democracy slip away. Whether it's your love for Donald Trump and your desire to see him win because he's deceived you into thinking you're going to win with him, or whether it's just that he enables you to hate everybody on this planet, people needs to wake up and realize democracy is at stake. We're not over here. I don't feel like I'm coming from a left-wing point of view when I say that. I don't feel like that's a liberal, progressive, whatever the hell. I feel like that's an American viewpoint. I don't feel like I'm out of line for saying we should have democracy, but I'm going to tell you something. There are certain people in my life that I will never look at the same. Because when I've pointed these things out, well, what's the big deal? I'm cool with it. I will never look at those people the same. And if you stumbled across this video and you realize it's you, buddy, that's on you. Because I thought this was America and I thought we had a democracy. And I remember us arguing about Ronald Reagan and you talking about what a great president he was. And now you're getting behind this that is absolutely light years away from what Ronald Reagan was. I never thought it would happen here. But folks, it's happening here.